Coming up, the final years of President Ronald Reagan and the legacy he's left behind. And then she wanted to leave.
She was done.
He wanted her gone.
It's like, I'll let you go.
Hear how a horse brought them back together on today's 700 Club.
Hey, welcome, folks. Hey, listen, don't put away your fur coat yet, because scientists are now saying instead of global warming, we may be doing that Maunder minimum thing where you go into a little ice age, and we may have a decade or so of serious cold weather because the sun is not cooperating with Obama and those who scare us about global warming. Somehow the sun didn't get the message. It doesn't read the New York Times. So in any event, that's what's coming, and we'll tell you about it on the show. But in the news, there was a plane crash over the Sinai, and the question was it a bomb? Have the brutal killers from ISIS struck again? Officials from both the United States and Great Britain say the deadly plane crash that killed more than 200 people could have been the work of Islamic terrorists.
And if ISIS was responsible, how did they do it? How did they get a bomb on that Russian jet line? Dale Hurd has the story.
A U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity says intercepted communications played a role in the tentative conclusion that the Islamic State group's Sinai affiliate planted an explosive device on the plane. But the official says there has been no formal judgment because forensic evidence from the blast site, including the airplane's black box, are still being analyzed. Officials do not believe the operation was ordered by ISIS leaders in Syria, but they say if it was a bomb, it was planned and executed by the Islamic State in the Sinai, which operates independently. CBN News terrorism analyst Eric Stakelbeck says if ISIS claims responsibility for something, it's usually true.
ISIS has had a pretty good track record of when they claim responsibility for attacks, it usually does turn out to be them. We don't know in this case, obviously, but so far, ISIS has not really been one to go out on a limb and say they did something that they didn't do.
The British government acted quickly to protect British tourists.
There will be no UK passenger flights out to Sharm el-Sheikh from now. Passengers who are on the ground in Sharm el-Sheikh will be returned to the UK.
Some British tourists were not happy about it.
I would prefer to come here and make my own decision rather than the government telling us I couldn't go.
It is a really bad decision because I think that nowadays this can happen anywhere in the world. You need to live your life and not let the terrorists win.
Now comes the question of how a bomb might have gotten on the plane. CBN News chief international correspondent Gary Lane.
So what these aviation experts from the UK are going to be looking at is, was it possibly someone who worked for one of the airlines, a grounds crew person who actually went in and planted that bomb?
Russian teams are now wrapping up their search for human remains from the Saturday crash that killed all 224 people aboard. Only 140 bodies have been recovered so far. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, I think old Vlad is going to get a taste of what it's like to meddle in the Middle East, because the ISIS people look at him now as an enemy, and that means the gloves are off. Well, the battle against ISIS in Syria has been one of the biggest challenges President Obama has been facing. And now a new poll says the American people don't like the way he's handling the fight against those radical Muslims. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN newsroom.
Okay. Is that
findings from an Associated Press GFK poll? More than 6 in 10 reject the president's handling of the threat from ISIS in Syria and Iraq. Only 40% approve of his management of foreign policy. Some people believe ISIS is literally laughing at President Obama. They believe he's tying the military's hands out of concern for potential U.S. casualties, while others think he could get America bogged down in a quagmire in the Middle East. The poll also suggests there's deep pessimism about U.S. prospects for success in Afghanistan. The people of Houston voted Tuesday against a non-discrimination ordinance that protected transgendered people. But the issue is also big in many public schools, including one of the largest districts in the country, Fairfax County, Virginia. Charlene Aaron brings us this story.
Earlier this year, school board members in Fairfax County voted to add gender identity to its non-discrimination policy, despite overwhelming opposition from parents. Many in the district argue the policy would allow male students and teachers who identify as transgender to use the girls' locker rooms and bathrooms and vice versa.
They're cramming an agenda, their own agenda, down parents' throats. We have no voice. We have a voice and they don't want to listen to us. They've ignored us.
It has no place in the school system. We have 17 failing schools throughout this county, and this is what they're concerned with. I have girls, and I am deeply concerned with the fact that they want to share bathrooms with transgender kids. That puts my children at risk, and I'm not going to allow that.
Judicial Watch, a conservative nonpartisan watch group, learned that the school district actually began implementing policy changes to accommodate transgender students even before hastily voting on the issue.
Oh, it's clear, even in the records we've gotten so far, that they were off and running, that this was an objective of theirs, that they were acting on and attempting to line up before any vote was ever taken. They were going to push this through no matter what.
In April, Judicial Watch requested the school board provide documents about the controversial gender identity policy under the Freedom of Information Act because critics had questions, arguing that the school board has more pressing needs.
Despite the school board running a $100 million plus in the red. And so we were curious as to what the motivation was. Why is this such a big issue? Why does it need to be addressed now? How does it trump all the other issues that are before the county? And so we asked questions. We sought documents and records under the law.
But the school board filed a lawsuit to block the release of documents until after this week's school board election. Fairfax County is the largest school district in the state and the 10th largest in the country. Many say what happens here could have a powerful effect in school districts across the country. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
First Texas, now Virginia. Pat?
You know, isn't it weird? I mean, transgender. Look, I said on this program a couple of years ago that if somebody honestly to goodness feels that he or she is trapped in the body of the wrong sex and they want to have an operation to fix it and take on all the characteristics of the sex that they want to identify with, I didn't think they were sinning against God, and I still don't think so. But some little boy thinks, well, I like to dress up as a girl and therefore I want to be in the girls' locker room. Well, he's got all the equipment of a little boy, and little girls don't want to look at little boys' equipment when they're 14 or 15 years old. At least their parents don't want that to happen. And that's what is being forced on them in this thing. I mean, if they want to get their male member cut off and get a female genital operation, that's one thing. But this isn't that way. I mean, they just think, well, I just feel like I'm a girl, so therefore I want to be treated like a girl. That's nonsense. And for Fairfax County to play games with that, I didn't realize they were in the hole $100 million, but it just shows how stupid you can get when you take your eye off the ball. Their job is to educate students, teach them how to read and write and spell and compute and all the other stuff that is needed in elementary education, instead of worrying about some little boy that wants to dress up as a girl and go into the girls' locker room. That is nuts. Ephraim.
The State Department says it will not stop its review of the Keystone XL pipeline despite a request by the company behind the project to suspend it. TransCanada asked for the suspension while it works with authorities in Nebraska on the route the pipeline would take through the state. But the Obama administration says there is no legal requirement for officials to suspend the review, and they're moving ahead. The State Department has jurisdiction over the project because it crosses the U.S. border. If the review had been suspended, the decision on whether to go ahead with the pipeline could have been put off until the next president takes office. Are we facing global warming or global cooling? Some scientists believe we could experience a colder period that lasts for a decade as the sun slows down its solar activity by up to 60%. The London Express reports a team of European researchers have a scientific model that shows the Earth will go through a mini ice age from 2030 to 2040 because of the decline in the sun's activity. They say it's a result of an 11-year cycle that the sun goes through, and they say it could be the coldest spell since the 1600s. Bundle up, Pat.
Well, the Thames River froze over. The ice was everywhere, which means agriculture will be curtailed. And it means there'll be a lot of starvation, that there'll be a lot of suffering. But we have enjoyed some of the most benign weather probably in history these last 40 or 50 years. And we've had bumper crops, plenty of food for people all around the globe. And even though there's some places of drought, the major area of the globe has been very well sustained. But if this cold snap comes on, the cold will come down from Canada and it'll be freezing, and the water around where we live here will freeze over, and all around the lakes and the rivers will freeze, and it won't be pleasant. But that sure puts a lot of all these hysterical people. But you know, that global warming thing, folks, you've got to recognize it is a political gamut to take control of the power industry, to take control of the distribution of power, take control of coal and oil and gas. That's what it's all about. It's a power grab by these so-called progressives who want to run everything. And it's nothing but a scam. And yet, nevertheless, they have certainly made it an item of faith. If you don't believe in global warming in terms of most colleges and universities, you can't get a tenured position. You've got to, subscribe to the article of faith that global warming is a reality. Well, the sun didn't get the memo. Terry?
Well, coming up, the untold story of President Ronald Reagan after he left public office. Best-selling biographer Craig Shirley talks about Reagan's last act and his enduring legacy after this.
He was one of the most beloved presidents in American history. But when Ronald Reagan passed away in 2004, he had been out of the public eye for a decade. After he told the world he'd been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, not much has been revealed about what went on during his final years until now. Have a look.
Much has been written about Ronald Reagan's early life and his 8 years in the White House. But in 1994, just a few years after he left office, Reagan announced in a letter to the nation that he had the beginnings of Alzheimer's disease. For the last decade of his life, there were no public appearances, and little is known about his final years. In a new book, Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan, author Craig Shirley writes about Reagan's twilight years and sheds new light on how he and Mrs. Reagan dealt with the diagnosis and progression of the disease, the planning of the state funeral, the outpouring from the nation, and the significance of the Reagan legacy.
Well, we loved him, and I was there in the National Cathedral for the funeral, and there were some of the people who'd worked with him who were literally crying. I mean, grown men, tears rolling down their cheeks because they loved this man so much. Author Craig Shirley joins us now from Washington. We welcome you to the 700 Club.
Thank you, Pat, very much.
Listen, I talked to Paul Laxalt, who told me that when Reagan was running for office, he was excoriated so much by the press that Paul said we couldn't let him see the papers. The things were written about him were so scathing. Well, what do you think about that?
Well, that sounds, Senator Laxalt is a pretty accurate recorder of history, and that sounds pretty accurate. Reagan was able to tune out much of what the national media said about him and focus on his message to the American people. As a matter of fact, he preferred the newspapers of small-town America so he could read about Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and basically get a handle on the American people, whom he was always in touch with. He never cared much about the elites. He never cared much about Washington, but he did care very much about what the American people were thinking.
Well, he was brilliant. I remember there was a birthday of him and Margaret Thatcher and so forth, and there was a speech he gave, and I told our guy, I said, look, can you get that comedy writer for me? He's brilliant. I'd like him to do a few speeches for me. And they checked on it, and they said Reagan wrote the stuff himself. Is that the way it was?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Gerald Ford actually had two comedy writers on the White House speech writing staff. Reagan never had any comedy writers. He wrote all of his own material. You know, he had speech writers, and it was a very fine, probably the best complement of speech writers in the history of the White House. But Reagan took a lot of personal interest in all of his speeches, and all the speech writers told me about how their drafts would come back with the Oval Office with a lot of lines written, drawn through and edits made and things like that. He took a lot of personal interest in the spoken word.
Well, he was portrayed as kind of a bumbling actor who was, not quite with it and slept during meetings. Well, what's the truth about him?
The truth is that this was a very engaged, bright, erudite, interested man. He chaired hundreds and hundreds of meetings of the National Security Council and its sub-planning meeting. He was as bright and as engaged the day he left office in January of '89 as he was the day he entered office in January of 1981. You ask any aide who worked for him, you look at his diaries, you look at his writings, you look at his schedule. He was vital and he was active, and it's just a complete myth that has been promulgated by the liberal media and his liberal opponents to say that he was at early onslaught of Alzheimer's or that he was out of touch. All the evidence is to the contrary. Not one person who ever worked for Ronald Reagan has stepped forward and said anything other than he was a bright and engaged man.
Well, what about the funeral? I was there, as I say, in the National Cathedral, and it was a very moving event. And then they took his casket out to California. What's the backstory on that one?
Well, the backstory is that, again, it was the schism, and I was there too, and I remember seeing you there, Pat, at the National Cathedral, but the great schism between the American people and the American elites. The whole week of the Reagan funeral, the American liberal elites were denouncing him and criticizing him in the most personal, vicious manner. You know, he's gonna turn crispy brown, and he's a killer, and he's a con man, and all sorts of ugly, awful things. And yet the vast majority of the American people thought otherwise. And of course, you remember the turnout at the Capitol, hundreds of thousands of people turning out to view his coffin, and the spontaneous turning out of hundreds of thousands of people at Simi Valley, and all walks of life from all places, all corners of the country. So it was the story of really two different Americas the week of the Reagan funeral. The real America and the elite America. And the real America, I think, won the day and won the debate.
Well, you know, I personally just felt so drawn to him. I mean, you just had a fondness in your heart for him, and it was a great tragedy to me that he passed off the scene. But I've said in speeches, he made us proud to be Americans again, and I think he did. What was the appeal that Reagan had to somebody like me or like the average man on the street? Well, what was it?
I think he said it himself. He told Lou Cannon, who is another Reagan biographer, a great Reagan biographer, is that he was in touch with the American people because he saw himself as one of them. He never saw himself as one of the Washington elites. You know, in 8 years of his diaries recorded every night, he never mentioned watching the Sunday shows. He didn't care about what they were saying, the elites were saying about him on Sunday. He cared about what the American people were saying about him. He didn't need focus groups because he was his own focus group. He was constantly in touch with the American people. So I think that in his farewell address, he said his two greatest accomplishments were the restoration of the American morale and the restoration of the American economy. And obviously, several years later came the defeat of Soviet communism, which I would consider to be his greatest accomplishment.
Well, you know, I remember Jimmy Carter's aide saying to me, well, we don't want to get in a, quote, arms race. But Reagan got into it, and he said, this is the game. We win, they lose. It was just that simple.
Yeah, exactly. And he did it quite deliberately in the face of enormous pressure. He deployed, you remember in 1982, the nuclear freeze movement that was rising in America, and we later found out it was being funded by the KGB. But there was a great deal of pressure on Reagan to cancel the deployment of Pershing II missiles in Western Europe. And he went ahead, and that made a great impression on the Soviets that this was not a weakling, this was a very determined man. And the Soviets, like him or hate him, is that they always respected strength, which is why they always respected Richard Nixon, and they learned to respect Ronald Reagan, and even more so. You know, it's interesting, a lot of former Soviet officials were more effusive about Ronald Reagan after he died than were a lot of Democrats and liberals in America.
Well, they met in Reykjavik, he and the head of the Soviet Union, and they were making incredible concessions, and the media was saying, oh, you've got to take this deal. And Reagan said, no, I'm not giving up Star Wars, and that brought down the Soviet Union. What about that?
Well, it was interesting because, again, he walked away from Reykjavik. Reagan was a terrific poker player. He was holding basically a pair of deuces with just a theory. SDI was at the point in 1986, it was just a theory. And Gorbachev is holding three kings, and yet he forces Gorbachev to bluff and fold his hand. And I can imagine Gorbachev going back and telling the Soviet generals that he gave up missile reduction in exchange for a theory. So I always thought it was interesting. But Reykjavik was an important turning point, and some historians said it was the beginning of the end of the Cold War because Reagan did not cave as previous presidents might have done.
Well, the last one, I'd love to talk to you because to say the least, I'm a great friend and fan of Reagan. I had the chance of being with him on a couple of occasions. It was very moving. But the thing that was so impressive that we remember when he went to Berlin and he said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall, the speechwriters said the State Department was apoplectic at that. They just hated it. Go ahead. Talk about it.
No, you're absolutely right, Pat. Is that, he drafted it, and the State Department vetted the speech, and they took it out. It went back to Reagan, he put it back in. Went back to the State Department, they took it out. Went back to Reagan, he put it back in. Went back to the State Department, they took it out. And after 3 or 4 or 5 times of this back and forth, it stays in the speech. But that was very much in character for Ronald Reagan. In 1980, he wanted to call the Vietnam War a noble cause. And his speechwriter said, Mr. President, you can't call Vietnam a noble cause. There was the Pentagon was evil. There was moral equivalency between North and South Vietnam. And it's just a taboo subject. And Reagan wanted to. His speechwriters took it out repeatedly. He added it repeatedly. And he told the American Legion, the American people, that Vietnam was a noble cause. And the elites, of course, despised it and denounced him for it. But the American people loved it.
Last question. We've got a president now who would like to compare himself to Ronald Reagan. You want to comment on that one?
Sure. Is that they are the polar opposite of each other. And I mean that very seriously in a context of history. Reagan believed in the spiritual individual. He was very infused with his Christianity. He reached out to John Hinckley to privately tell him that he forgave him, which I think is the ultimate expression of Christian forgiveness. Hinckley's doctors advised against it because Hinckley would interpret it wrong and that it somehow was vindication for what he did. So Reagan ended up not meeting with Hinckley. But he very much believed in the individual, and he believed in the spiritual individual. Barack Obama believes in the state. He has a naive belief that the government can solve every problem. And so therefore, the two are just completely opposite of each other. One believes in the individual, one believes in the state. So in a way, is that comparing himself to Reagan is right, but only in a reverse sort of way.
Craig, I hope your book is successful. It's called The Last Act. It's got some of these wonderful anecdotes about Reagan that I think you'll find appealing. Is the book doing well? It's out on Amazon now?
Yeah, it is. It just came out last week, and I'm told by the publisher it's selling very well. So it's in Barnes & Noble and Amazon and Costco and other fine bookstores.
Well, thank you, Craig Shirley. For those of us who loved Ronald Reagan, I think you'll find it very moving. Craig Shirley, thank you so much. Terry.
Thank you.
Fascinating. Well, up next, she trained wild Mustangs, but she couldn't tame her own heart.
I've had a life of hurt, with men. And so I ended up, thinking all men were liars, not trustworthy.
Watch how a horse helped her learn to trust after this.
Hey, you're watching the 700 Club. Delighted to have you with us. More good things coming. It took years for Cheryl McConaughey to realize that she was as stubborn as the wild Mustangs that she trained. And she was also every bit as afraid as they were. And that discovery transformed Cheryl's marriage just in the nick of time.
With the Mustang, once they learn to trust, there's a freedom there. I love seeing the horse go from so fearful, they only trust themselves, and then to be able to go and get them to understand why they can trust others. Usually my first touch, there's always tears behind it, because it's like, they now trust me,
For Cheryl McConaughey, her work building trust with wild Mustangs comes easily. It's men she has a hard time with. Her father was absent when she grew up, and her first marriage was a disaster.
I've had a life of hurt, with men. And so I ended up, thinking all men were liars, not trustworthy.
She met her second husband, Rick, at church, and they were married within 3 months. But problems developed shortly after their wedding due to parenting issues with Cheryl's 3 children.
I just was trying to be the best parent that I could be with, not having any prior experience, no children of my own. And so immediately that started, conflicts between us.
Cheryl's inability to trust played her against Rick.
I just start getting suspicious about, where are you at, who you seen, maybe, are you meeting somebody?
Felt like she was accusing me, pointing her finger at me, and it was very, very difficult for me to live like that. And it would just progress and progress, and there were times she'd load the kids up, in the van and take off. She was done. She was scared. She was running.
I could never count how many times I threatened to leave him, and he was always committed. Then he says, you have to leave.
I felt like I didn't care if she decided she wanted to go. It's like, I'll let you go.
Neither left, and years went by. Cheryl poured herself into working with Mustangs. Meanwhile, Rick avoided confrontation.
When I'm working nights, she's working days. We hardly saw each other. Really nothing there to help get us back on track, and very little interaction. And at that point, it was actually a relief.
Everything's defensive. And so I would get angry at, why God? Why? Here I am, how many years? And this still feels like hell on earth to me. I thought, God, where are you? Where are you in the midst of all of this? Because I felt like, I've been praying, shouldn't this change?
Any hope of a happy marriage seemed impossible. One day, while Cheryl tried to rope a particularly wild Mustang, she had an epiphany about her own guarded heart.
I just want you to trust me. I'm not going to hurt you. And the more after I got those words out of my mouth, God says, Cheryl, it's the same with you. I just want you to trust me. He said, Cheryl, you're tired of the rope around your neck? I was just like, yeah, I am. I am tired of that. I'm tired of fighting. I want to give. I want to trust you with everything, with my whole heart, not just bits and pieces. So that means I have to trust you in this marriage. So my prayer became, let me see my sin. Let me see what I need to do different. Lord, help me see Rick as you see him.
Rick and Cheryl agreed to go to their pastor for marriage counseling.
I still felt pretty hopeless. I wasn't real optimistic, but I figured we have to give it a shot. That's the only, we need somebody else involved.
And I can remember just breaking down and telling Rick, I am so sorry for all that I have done, all that I have accused you for, all that the control, all the things that have, broke us apart.
It was neat to see in a way the real Cheryl coming out in this, even though it was painful, just seeing her be able to, her real true feelings come out, that was the first glimmer of hope that I had. I knew that the girl that I'd fell in love with was still in there somewhere. Deep down, I knew what we used to have.
Just started opening up that door of trust and hope.
Through counseling and a marriage class at church, God opened their hearts to build trust and love again.
He joins two people together to be permanent, to be one. And, I love Cheryl. And, I almost feel like I loved her from the moment I saw her.
Rick and Cheryl's marriage is strong today. They give thanks to God for doing what they thought was impossible.
Where I am today, I never thought could be possible. To be free, to be open with Rick, completely open. I told him my new motto, no secrets. The trials are worth all the heartache, all the pain, because when you get to the other side, what God does in your heart, what He does in your being is so rich. All you got to do is just yield, let go.
It's all about Him. We wouldn't be here without Him. He continually is drawing us to Himself, and I just so thankful that He doesn't give up on us.
What a story. God made horses, very interesting. They are prey animals, and their way of getting away from a predator is to run. They have a sense in the herd. If one of them senses something going on, he nickers and the whole herd, suddenly their heads are up and they take off. They run because they live in fear. And fear is the way that they stay alive. And if they get too trusting, then they get eaten by a lion or a tiger or a coyote or whatever's going after them. And Cheryl had to be taught, because with a horse, a wild Mustang, you want to help the horse. You want to feed the horse. You want to give him water. You want to brush his coat. You want to take away cuts and wounds. You want to put medicine on him. You want to do worming so that he doesn't have parasites. You want to do a lot of stuff to help him. But if you can't get near him, then you can't help him. And if every time you go near him he wants to kick you, then he's hurting himself. It took the horse to teach this lady. You can't blame her for being suspicious. She'd been mistreated, and her reaction was to clam up or to run or to stay away from it. But God says to us, trust me, trust me. Have faith. That's what faith is all about. Jesus said over and over and over and over again, have faith in God. Trust in God. Fear not. How often do you see that in the Bible? Why? Because we are fearful. And God is saying, if you will trust me, good things are going to happen. But if you're like the horse, if you're not willing to come up when I call you, you're not going to get fed. If you've got something stuck in your hoof, I've got to be able to get it out for you. You've got to come to let me deal with you. And God is saying, if you will trust me, I'm going to do wonderful things for you. But you have to trust me. And in Cheryl's case, she had to trust her husband. She had been mistreated by men. But you see, men are like a proxy for God. And that meant she didn't trust God either. So today we say, that song, trust and obey. There's no other way to be happy in Jesus than to trust and obey. That's the way to do it. The horse can teach us. So if you don't know the Lord, you don't have to fear God. You fear him in a sense like you hold him in reverence, but you don't have to be scared of him because he loves you. You fear him with reverence, but you love him and your love draws you to him. And he says, will you trust me? Will you believe me? Will you let me have your life? I've got good things in store for you. Good things. Let me take care of you. Let me give you the good stuff I've got. So open your mouth wide and I'll fill it. I got good things for you. And if you want that, again, I'll give you an opportunity to ask him. Just pray with me right now, wherever you are. These words, bow your head, pray with me. Jesus, that's right, pray with me. Jesus, right now, Lord, I confess that I trust you. I submit myself to you. I believe your word. I believe that you died on the cross, and I believe you love me. And I submit myself to your love at this moment. And I ask you to take over my life. I'm yours. From this moment on, Lord, I am yours. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. If you prayed with me, I've got some various pieces of literature for you. I've got one here that's called Love and Marriage, having to do with trust and love in the marriage relationship. I'll give you that. Or one that tells you what to do after you come to the Lord. But please call. Let me know what you've done. Just say, I prayed with Pat. I've given my heart to the Lord, and I'm trusting him for the rest of my life. Terry?
Still ahead, she and her husband were set to adopt twin babies. Then they discovered the mother wasn't even pregnant. Hear how this young woman endured an adoption scam and still wound up with two beautiful babies.
And welcome back to the 700 Club. Police Department religious mottos that say "In God We Trust" are constitutional. That's the opinion issued this week by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. He said displaying "In God We Trust" on police departments' patrol vehicles is protected by the First Amendment. The opinion comes after the Freedom from Religion Foundation complained about the police department in the town of Childress displaying the motto, suggesting it violated separation of church and state. A member of Congress is standing up for the football coach in Washington state who was suspended for praying on the field. In a speech on the House floor, Virginia Republican Randy Forbes, the chairman of the Congressional Prayer Caucus, denounced the Bremerton School District for violating Coach Joe Kennedy's religious rights. The district put Kennedy on paid administrative leave after he refused to stop going to midfield and giving thanks to God after every game. They said his public prayers could be seen as an endorsement of religion. Dozens of other members of the caucus sent a letter to the district supporting Coach Kennedy. Remember, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website, cbnnews.com. Pat and Terry are back with more of the 700 Club. It's coming up right after this.
To see this week's most viewed stories, go to cbn.com.
Autumn Miles and her husband Eddie doubled the children in their family in 1 month last May. They also doubled their joy after a heartbreaking experience 2 years ago. Take a look.
Author and conference speaker Autumn Miles is the mother of 2 biological children. She decided to adopt a baby and was matched with a woman who was pregnant with twins. But her happiness soon turned to horror as her worst fear became reality.
Please welcome to the 700 Club today, Autumn Miles. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Go back with me to 2013 when your worst fear became a reality. Tell us what happened.
Well, I waited 18 years to adopt. I had such a desire to adopt when I was in high school. My husband finally said, let's do it. And so we were matched with a birth mother who told us that she was pregnant with twin girls, which was amazing because I wanted a girl, and 2 was awesome.
was over the top.
It was over the top, yes.
So this would be joy for anyone and feel like a dream fulfilled. When did you first begin to have suspicions, Autumn, that maybe all was not well?
When we were matched with her, the day that we were matched with her, I immediately felt an uneasiness. And I thought it was because she was having 2 babies rather than 1. And you know, the uneasiness just began to grow and grow in my spirit, and the Lord was telling me something's definitely not right.
So how did you how and when did you find out that things weren't as they looked?
I started praying just about this feeling, you know, Lord, reveal what is going on. You know more than I do what's happening. And a couple of months we were matched with this birth mom, and I would ask her, like, take pictures of your belly. Can I see, you know, what the baby's looking like? And one day, it was a Tuesday, the Lord said, investigate on your own. And so I started going through social media and Googling things and stuff like that. And I found pictures of her that were taken recently, and she had no pregnancy belly. So I actually Googled a site to see if a fake sonogram was even possible. And as I was scrolling through the site, my eyes rested on the sonogram that she had sent us that proved that she was pregnant. So I was looking at a fake sonogram, yet it was the sonogram that we had.
Someone else?
It was, yes, of someone else.
Wow.
You can buy it for like $24.
So how did you handle that?
We were devastated. We prayed for babies. We prayed for a gift from God. And I took it to the Lord, that day that we found out that we were being scammed, devastated my whole family, my biological kids. But we took it to the Lord and said, Lord, make something good out of the situation.
Had you invested much at that point? Because usually in an adoption like this, you're helping with the medical costs and whatever other preparations are necessary.
Absolutely. We paid all that they asked us to pay, we paid. And, unfortunately, we had invested not just money, but emotions in this as well.
More than the money, the emotions.
Yes.
In many ways. So was this a private adoption, or was this through an agency?
It was through an agency, yes, ma'am.
So the agency was scammed too?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So how did everyone handle that when this came to light?
When it came to light, I called the agency and said, this is what I found. Can you check it out? And it was the Holy Spirit's prompting in my life that enlightened them to the problem. And we cut off ties. And unfortunately, you don't recover those funds. So we were left with a deficit financially, but also emotionally.
What happened to the woman?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to her. We decided not to press charges against her because we know God restores what Satan tries to steal.
Now, a lot of people would hear this story and say, wow, that's one of one of my fears. It's one of the fears of this whole process. Adoption is an unknown commodity. This is National Adoption Month. What would you say to people?
I would say Satan wants you to believe that. Satan comes in and he will tell you there's so much risk involved. There's so many things that could go wrong. But I believe if God has put the desire in your heart, there's a baby or a child on the other end of that desire in your heart. I believe that's the Holy Spirit. So I would say push past it, because God is bigger than any of your fears.
In this last story, we saw a woman who struggled with having been hurt, and she shut her heart down. You and your husband decided that you would keep your heart open to this, and God gave you the desire of your heart. Today, you have two beautiful children, almost like having twins, but they're not actually twins.
Yes, no. We were in February, we got a call. We had waited 2 years and 2 months. We got a call from our agency and said, there's a little boy, he's doing 2 days. Will you take him? And we said, yes, of course we'll take him. We waited so long. The next day, we got a call that said, we know you just said yes to a boy, but another birth mom has chosen you, and she's pregnant with a girl. Will you take her as well? And 2 years, 2 months we waited. God gave us 2 babies that Satan stole from us in 2 days.
What did you learn from all of this? Because the emotional trauma, as you said, was so devastating along the way, and you have 2 biological children.
Yes.
So when you go through something like this, a family is affected. How did you all deal with that?
My kids, my biological kids, were incredible. We were able to teach them disappointment. We were able to show them that God is bigger than anything Satan tries to take from us. So there was a lot of practical lessons that were learned specifically for my children. But God has restored us, and I would not want any other babies than the ones that he had gave us.
I mean, count it all joy has truly been the scripture for you. He is faithful.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, what a remarkable story. And not everyone can adopt a child, but there is a way to help children in need all over the world. We want to thank you for your story today, Autumn, but we'd like to show you the story of children in South Africa that this widow has made a difference in their lives. For her, earning a living and taking care of 6 children was overwhelming until Orphans Promise stepped in to help. Take a look.
4-year-old Nizole is the youngest of her 5 siblings. Her father died when she was very young, leaving their family with no one but their mother to take care of them.
Nizole was too young to understand. She didn't know where he had gone.
While Nizole's brothers and sisters went to school, she spent the day with her mother, who sold candy on the street and at schools.
I had no one who could take care of her. So while I was serving customers, she would wander off.
Sometimes Nizole stayed home, where a cousin was supposed to take care of her. But one day, little Nizole walked out of the house and wandered the streets alone. She was found by a caregiver from a children's center supported by Orphans Promise. Today, Nizole is one of 30 children sponsored by Orphans Promise to come to this daycare center for free.
Before she was in daycare, she used to be very shy. But now Nizole plays with other children.
Now that I know my daughter is safe, I get all my work done more quickly. When I get home, we spend quality time together.
Nizole's mom was running low on supplies for her business, so we gave her new stock and enough food to get ahead. We also gave them new warm clothes for the coming winter.
I thank God for seeing our struggle and helping us.
Thank you for making a difference in the life of this family and so many others. You know, there are children who are legitimately orphaned where their parents have died, and there are children who are orphaned by poverty and need. And our goal is to help keep families together because it's God's idea of how children should be raised. You help us do that in Orphans Promise in thousands of ways, and we just want to say thank you. It's one of the things you do when you join the 700 Club. You know, there are outreaches to people in need all around the world as well as right here at home. It's 65 cents a day, $20 a month, and you'll be joining with thousands who are not just out to make a difference, they are making a difference. So call now. Our number's toll free right there. It's 1-800-759-0700. Just say, I want to join the 700 Club. When you do, we want to send you our way of saying thank you for caring about others, the transforming word. Pat has read verses to overcome fear and experience peace in your life. This will bless you, and you'll have the deep satisfaction of knowing you're touching and changing the lives of others. So call right now. We want to hear from you. Pat?
Thanks, Terry. Hey, listen, folks, ahead, we're going to take your email questions. Sheila says, I've been having bad thoughts come into my mind against God, just out of the blue. Why is this happening? Well, we'll try to answer that with a whole lot of other questions after this.
Well, Thanksgiving, believe it or not, is just 3 weeks away. And right now we've got a recipe contest running on our Facebook page. Visit us at facebook.com/700club and submit your favorite recipe in our holiday contest. That winning recipe will be featured right here on the 700 Club on November the 13th. So head over to facebook.com/700club and check out the competition.
All right. Well, I am not submitting my recipe, although my recipe for special soup was very well received.
It was. I made that soup.
Did you make it?
Great. Yes, actually. That's a good idea. I haven't done that in a while. Okay, let's bring it on with some questions.
Let's go for it. Yeah, sure.
This is Sheila Pat, who says, I've been having bad thoughts come into my mind against God just out of the blue. It's so unlike me, and it goes against everything I believe. I've been a born-again Christian for 45 years. I believe Jesus loves me. I ask for forgiveness every time this happens and plead the blood of Jesus over my mind and my thoughts. Why is this happening? I struggle with, will I go to heaven? I've prayed and prayed for God to help me and take this from me. I don't know what else to do. Please help.
All right. You know, Martin Luther said very cogently, there's no sin to have birds fly over your head. It's only when you let them make a nest in your hair that is a problem. Where do these thoughts come from? I think there is a devil, and the devil can put evil thoughts into your mind. And what you need to do is rebuke it. I've told us on the program a few days ago, say, I rebuke you, Satan. I bind you, Satan, and the forces of evil. And you need to get some people with you and do the same thing. And just, I bind you, Satan. I will not receive this. And you'll be free. The Lord is more powerful. Just speak his name. In the name of Jesus, I bind you. All right?
This is from Nikki Pat, who says, I'm really concerned about God's love as it relates to people who are suffering and killed for their faith in Christ. The Bible says God will never leave us or forsake us, but isn't a person left or forsaken if God doesn't intervene when they're crying out for him to rescue them during a horrible situation? If I read a news story of ISIS men raping and brutally murdering a young Christian woman, I wake up at night wondering, why, God, why? Can you help me, Pat? Any scriptures you can point me to? I'm really saddened, and it's affecting my complete trust in the Lord.
Well, you read the book of Revelation, and you see those who are beheaded for the witness of Christ. You read stories about those who were sawn asunder. Read the Psalms. I mean, those who the world wasn't worthy, but they wandered in desert places. They were hungry. They were cold. The fact that we come to the Lord doesn't mean we're saved from persecution or from trouble. The Apostle Paul said, those that live godly in Christ Jesus will suffer much. The word is thlipsis in Greek, much pressures. So, you know, read Peter, you know, think it not strange concerning the fire trial that's come to test you. Look at 1 Peter.
Yeah.
See what it says.
The disciples as well.
Of course, all of them. I mean, they were tortured. They were martyred. That's you hate to see it, but that's part of living for Jesus. Well, we leave you with today's Power Minute from Proverbs 19. If you help the poor, you are lending to the Lord, and He will repay you. Well, tomorrow, meet the money-making mom and learn how to create financial freedom for your family. That's interesting. Okay. So, for all of us, this is Pat Robertson, me and Terry and all the staff here at CBN. Thanks for watching us, and the 700 Club will be with you tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye.